What's up, y'all? We are back. This is episode 10, maybe 11, of the Washington Nationals Out of the Park Baseball 24 series. I should really check what episode it is before I start recording, but I digress. The Washington Nationals are 36 and 39. It's been a pretty tough start to the season. A lot of underperformance. There's some signs for potential progression to the mean, but also we may have just overachieved last year in general. So let's jump into kind of how things have gone so far. So check out April. We were really rough. May was better, and then June has been pretty tough so far. We've actually managed to salvage it by sweeping the Braves in the last few days, but yeah, it hasn't been pretty. I guess the biggest story here is I sent down Paul Skeens to AAA. He was just not cutting it, man. Like, the numbers don't look horrible, but as a starter, he was bad. I put him in the bullpen, he was bad. It just really isn't working out for him. I'm going to put him in AAA for a little bit, see if he could figure it out, although his first start, he got absolutely rocked. There's still potentially hope, but, man, this is not looking good. Honestly, the underlying numbers don't look bad, but I just couldn't keep sending him out there. So where does that leave us rotation-wise? I actually don't feel bad about this. So Brenton Tolick has made his Major League debut. He had a really good start, 5 2/3, 1 run in his debut. He's got a little bit of potential back. He looks like a total stud. So so far so good with him. He's only made one start, of course. Aaron Nola, it was a bit of a rocky start for him. Check out his April. It was not good. Much better May. June's been tough. But the underlying peripherals look pretty freaking good. 3.25 FIP, the triple slash, I guess you'd call it for a pitcher, home run, walks, Ks, all look good and all in line with his career numbers. So I think there's reason to believe he'll come back and be a really good pitcher for us. Luis Castillo's kind of the opposite. You see his FIP's a little bit elevated, and the underlying peripherals do look pretty solid, but he's definitely outperforming it with the 2.64 ERA. So we could potentially look for some aggression, but the results have been great so far. He's on pace for 7.8 R WAR, 3 WAR, which is still a good arm, and we'll take that every day. But I expect these two to kind of meet in the middle, and be 3.2 ERA guys the rest of the way. So we'll definitely take that. Yerlin Susana, he's been really solid in his first season as a full-time starter. 4.36 ERA, about league average. The strikeout to walk isn't really impressive, but he's a really quality middle to late of the rotation arm there. So, and then Brian Wu, of course, he had the big thing where I DFA'd him, and he had this big progression scouting wise, and came into be a legit starter. And I started him out in the bullpen. And he was totally dominating there, so I gave him a shot as a starter, put Skeens in the bullpen, and the results have been really good so far. So we might have found an arm there long term, surprisingly. This guy was... I literally DFA'd him, and I had to, cheat a little bit, I guess you'd say, to get him back. But who would have known the day that after I did that, he would get that scouting increase. But anyway, Cade Cavalli... he just wasn't really cutting it in the rotation. I don't really see it long-term for him as a starter. It just wasn't great. I think he's much better as a reliever. I think he could actually excel as a reliever long-term. Of course, he only has a year of control left, so it's a little late, but, we'll take whatever we can get. Camilo Doval started the year as our closer, and he was just giving up a ton of runs. Check out May. It was so bad. I moved him out of the closer's role, and in June he's been much better. So we still have a good arm there. He's cheap, whatever. It's really couldn't lose on that contract. Matt Brash has stepped in the closer's role. Been a little bit rough lately, but overall he's done a nice job solidifying that spot. Cole Henry's had a little bit of a down year, but still been good. Yennier Cano's been amazing. Andrew Vasquez has been solid as he usually is. Hobie Milner has been really quality arm, and Tanner Houck got off to a tough start. This April numbers, they don't even describe how bad he was the first 3 games of the year. I guess we can go back to the game logs. Yeah, he got shelled for 6 runs in 1 inning, 3 runs in an inning and a third. Like, it was bad. He had an 8.78 ERA up to like the beginning of May, and then he's been really good since. So happy with what we're getting out of Hauk. If there's an injury, he'll step into the rotation, I'm pretty sure. So the pitching hasn't necessarily been bad. We're 7th in runs against. I talked about how there's probably a world where this starter's ERA goes back up with Skeens and Cavalli now out of the rotation. I think this is a really good 5 the rest of the way. But the offense is really, really falling off this season. Pretty much everyone outside of James Wood, Antunia, Trent Grisham of all guys, and Brady House. Everyone else has pretty much underperformed pretty significantly. Brady House has had a really good year. On pace for 37 home runs. I don't know if he can sustain this, but he's done this for the last 2 almost full seasons. So a good defender and a pretty good bat too. So it's a quality guy. Trent Grisham, following up his surprise campaign last year with just as good of a season this year. Maybe even better. 4.1 WAR he's on pace for. The defense has been a lot better than last season. Already surpassed his own rating from that season. I don't expect him to be a 112 WRC plus guy the rest of the way, but we'll take it as it comes. And then Antunia's been really good as well. Not quite as good as last year. But, he's still been a really good player. It's just we needed him to be this 134 WRC plus guy to carry our offense this season. He just hasn't been that guy. James Wood has been, amazing as he's been the last 2 seasons prior. Honestly, his whole career. The dude just hits. So he hasn't been an issue. But Tommy White hasn't really come together like it did last season. Last year he won a Silver Slugger, 136 WRC+. I still have hope that he can come around. But we'll see with him. Carlos Correa has been tough. He plays good defense, so I can get over it. But, yeah, the offense just has not been here this season. He also got off to a slow start last year, if you remember, then heated up as the season went on. So maybe he can do that. The BABIP is pretty low compared to his career average of 317. So, again, I think there's reason to think he can keep progressing back to the mean. And then Keibert Ruiz, I love him, and he's been a really good player for us, but I don't know. I'm kind of done with him. His defense just isn't really good enough. I mean, he's a fine defender this year, a catcher, but last year he cost us a ton of runs and framing wise, and I mean this year he'll probably wind up getting worse. I don't know. His bat hasn't carried his bad defense this year, which is kind of ticking me off. So we'll see what happens at the deadline. He's got a bunch of years left to control. So there's no rush to trade him, but just a thought, maybe we can look to upgrade that position. Grant Hussey hasn't had a ton of at-bats. I still have hope for him. He's got to start hitting home runs, though. I mean, he's only got 2 92 plate appearances, which is not a really good rate. Armando Cruz has come up and played a lot of short, a lot of second. I think he was starting at second a little bit. He's only played 3 games at second, but I think Correa went out for a bit, so I called him up. And he's been fine. I mean, whatever. And Stanley Tucker, holy crap. He's just fallen back to being like a below replacement level player after a pretty good season last year. I guess I shouldn't have banked on him like following up last year. But he still walks 17% of the time. There's a lot of good things that he does. He plays a pretty good second base. He can back up center field, which is a spot we've kind of needed a backup for a couple of years now. Robert Hassel, gave him a shot opening day. He hasn't really done much. He's probably done long term. And then Kayla Hobson, we called him up, 25 years old. I like this eye potential. He was on the 40-man. We protected him this year from the Rule 5. Only got 10 at-bats so far, but maybe he can, be an offensive player for us. And then Austin Hedges, our backup catcher. Actually, positive .4 WAR despite a 27 WRC+. 3.6 framing runs in 16 games is pretty crazy. But other guys, Moises Gomez was up for a bit. He just didn't really do anything. This is kind of what he did last year. He got off to a really slow start. I sent him down. crushed in AAA. I called him back up, and he crushed at the end of the year. That might have been the same story in 2025 as well. So yeah, that's Gomez. Sorry, I got a text and it really distracted me. Elijah Green has been doing horribly in AAA. He's a guy in our 40-man. I guess that's pretty much it. It's been mostly the guys that are on the team now. We did lose Luis Garcia again, which is tough because he was actually hitting when he was in there. He was out at the beginning of the year, if you remember, with a strained ACL, out for 5 weeks, and he tore his hamstring, only out for 3 weeks, which is just crazy how those two injuries, match up timeline-wise. But yeah, he's in the last year of his deal. Probably gone after the season. I just don't think I can afford him. Yeah, it's going to be way too steep, and we don't really have much money. We do, but it's all wrapped up in development and stuff. So that's where we are here, June 25th. Hopefully we can push forward, go into the All-Star break, at 500 and make a push for the playoffs at that point. But we're in 4th place. A bunch of teams to jump in the wild card, and we're just going to have to start playing better. That's pretty much plain and simple. There's not a ton of reinforcements on the way. Either, as you could see, our guys on our 40-man, just not really much there that's like really intriguing. Cooper Pratt's down here. He's having a really good season in AA. I actually got to call him up to AAA, but he's kind of approaching the majors. I signed Adam Frazier to a minor league deal and throw him in AAA. We have a couple of catchers too that I'm intrigued about. Alex Sosa started the year in AAA. I wanted him to get more at bat, so I sent him to AA. Guzman's a pretty good defender, former 2nd-round pick. Strickland's actually on our 40-man roster, doing pretty well in AA. This guy Camberg isn't bad either. We have a lot of catching prospects. Then Namala, really excited for him. He's made a lot of progress in the last few years, up to high A. Not having a great year or anything, but I still have hope for him as a long-term, probably second baseman. Caden Sorrell's also up here, but the ship has probably sailed on him. He's a former 2nd-round pick. And that's kind of it. Gusher Schwartz was a big IFA. He has done nothing in the minor leagues. So we're still waiting on him to start doing something. He's up in A-ball. I think that's kind of it. This guy Zion Rose kind of crushed in A-ball when I called him up last year. To start the year. And then called him up to high A. He's a former 8th-round pick that was he was a bat-first catcher when we drafted him. And, the bat's kind of developed. He can play some outfield. So an interesting guy long-term. Let's see. Cam Johnson. Let's see. What happened with him? Did he get hurt? Oh, shoot. I didn't even realize he got hurt. Oh, yeah, never mind. That was at the end of spring training. Okay. So he just got back. Derek Mitchell was crushing high A, so I called him up to AA. He's doing well. Not really like a high potential guy or anything, but could be a potential corner outfielder in the future. Okay, enough ranting. Let's sim up to the first-year player draft, and we'll come back. All right, so we are back. It's July 11th, time for the first-year player draft, but we're tied for last place at the moment, 42 and 47. Hasn't necessarily been all bad. Let's check out the standings really quick. I think we still have a positive run differential. We're plus 17, so we're certainly better than the Braves' run differential, and the Marlins are tied with us. We're just underperforming. Our record in one-run games isn't great. Extra innings were bad. Apparently we can't hit lefties, which actually isn't surprising. I don't know. We'll have to see if we can make some improvements as we move toward the deadline here. Adam Frazier really isn't cutting it as a fill-in at second base. Pretty much the only guys hitting in the lineup are still the guys that we're hitting. James Wood, of course. Antuna's still having a good year. Tommy White started hitting, which is, a big boost because we definitely need him. Brady House actually got moved up to the 2 hole. Of course, as soon as I did that, he started sucking. And Kepa Ruiz is back to being a league average hitter. So, at least some of our big guys are starting to hit. Correa still isn't doing much with the bat. He's still a good defender, so I'll cut him some slack. And Grant Hussey's actually started hitting as well. So there's some good things. Trent Grisham is still hanging in there, about a slightly below league average hitter. He's not a guy who's supposed to really hold up his offense, so it's not his fault. We suck. Then Caleb Hobson's kind of done some stuff. Batting 350. I mean, it's all singles, but we'll take it regardless. So yeah, that's kind of where we are as a team. The pitching staff it's been hit or miss. Nola still hasn't really picked it up. He's had a couple good starts, some bad starts mixed in between. His peripherals still look good. Not really concerned about him. Castillo keeps pitching well. And Talik hasn't been great after a couple of really good starts to start his career. But it's only 4 starts. Can't count too much on those. Put him at 90 pitches. Susanna's been okay. And Brian Wu's been good. So, really, the bullpen, we spent, I don't know. We put a lot of resources into upgrading the bullpen this offseason, and it really hasn't worked. Camilo Duvall's just been god-awful recently. And the other guys have been, fine, but we don't really have a stud outside of Cano. So I don't really know where we stand with the pitching staff. I don't know if there's a ton of places to upgrade. These guys are all pretty good. I think a Cavalli trade is probably in the works. He hasn't been bad. Take out this last game. And he hasn't been bad out of the pen, but it hasn't really been good either. So, a spot to upgrade. And he has some value, I'm sure. So, anyway, let's hop into the draft. We have the 34th pick. Somehow. I don't know if there's a bunch of... Okay, yeah, so a bunch of people didn't sign last year. A bunch of comp picks. So we get pushed back a bunch of spots. But whatever. All right, just really quick, I want to go through some guys who have high overalls. Ira Jeffries. Jeffries looks like a good player. Eddie Williams looks like a pretty nice arm. And this guy is pretty well developed. Ooh, that's a fun player, man. It's like the Jeff Word from Colorado. I love bringing him up because he was such a fun player with the great speed, the high contact, and avoid Ks. Such a fun player. I wish we had a guy like that in this save. Bradley Stewart, man. Whew. Yeah, I'd put him in my bullpen right now. That'd be a huge upgrade. I doubt he falls. Although I said that last year as well, and our guy did fall to us at 20, 22, whatever it was. So yeah, a ton of good players here. One of these guys is bound to drop to us, so I want to see who Oakland takes. It's not a bad pick. Not at all. I'm concerned about the avoid Ks, but... Tyree Canteen. It's a fun upside guy. Mike Lynn. Interesting. Steve Papinchak. That's a horrible pick, in my opinion. Jaheim Beckles. Pretty good player. Okay. Pet Golly. Wow, this is an interesting build. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. With the low to void Ks and low home run and everything else is maxed out. That's pretty cool. Good speed, good outfield defense. That's a really fun pick. So let's go to ours. David Byers is the best overall guy up here. He's not a bad arm at all. Raheem Lucky's another college guy. This is a fun player. This is kind of Jeff Word light. Ismael and Fonte don't need another first baseman necessarily. Chase Mobley looks like a guy with good personality. Not necessarily the biggest upside, though. I think there's probably some better picks in here. Let me sort by college guys first, just because that's where I prefer to go. Connor Griffin, man, what happened with him? He got drafted 5th overall and didn't sign, and then he went to college. So that's interesting. Tigers failed to sign their first round pick, but he's honestly a really good prospect. And kind of a position of need, that corner outfield spot. Right now we got Brady House out there playing right field just because we have no other guys. And not like Connor Griffin's going to play in the majors this season. That's probably more of a next year thing. But looking long term, we do have a bunch of outfield prospects, but a lot of them are in the low minors. We're also up to 5th, by the way, in the latest update. I'm shocked that we're not higher than 5th. We have 7 guys in the top 100, 3 guys in the top 25, a bunch of guys in the top 200. But yeah, looking at all of our top guys, these guys are all in rookie ball. Namal is our closest guy in the top 200. Cooper Pratt's on his way. He got called AAA, and he's doing pretty well. But yeah, we have a lot of guys in the low minors, which these guys are so volatile that I don't even really count them as prospects yet until they hit high A and start producing. So yeah, we don't really. That's to say we don't really have a position that I'm going to avoid, and draft's always best player available anyway. So let's just go through each guy here. Raheem Lucky still is really interesting. He could play some corner outfield too, for sure. Could be a good right fielder. Sam Myrick, not really a defensive home. Taven Alford, interesting guy. 70 outfield range. We do need a center fielder long term. These guys are all first basemen, not really interested. Steve Crow could be a total defensive stud. I'm concerned about the bat at age 21. Chris Sisson, nice player. Second baseman, though. That's probably Namal's spot long term, so I don't really want to draft another second baseman. Eddie Snyder's interesting, but no eye. These guys just aren't really well developed enough. Surprise is interesting. What a stupid name. Zach Surprise. Yeah, I mean, coming down here, probably not going to look at any of these dudes really seriously. This is also all hitters, I just realized. Wonder why there was no pitchers coming up. Okay, let's go to all guys. Looks like a stud of a reliever. Yeah, Connor Griffin's honestly the guy that I like the most here. He has a high floor for a 21-year-old. Kevin O'Connor looks like a stud as well. Yeah, David Berries is the closest thing to Antelic that this draft kind of offers, but he doesn't really have the upside. The changeup's actually a decent pitch. Slider, curveball, cutter. Decent pitch mix. I also like Raheem Lucky. And Jordan, no upside there, and a bad personality. I like this guy. Vincent Ari Mendez. He's a side armor, which I don't really go for the side armors. Their splits are too extreme. They hardly ever work out as starters, from my experience. And I've dipped in that well a few times. It's not a one-off thing. Control issues. Chris Sisson, honestly, that range ticks up to 65. The arm's not necessarily great, but could be a really nice bat. Kurt Zucker, interesting. Might be a second-round guy. Jeff Bentley, really good floor, good pitch mix. Has a changeup. A lot of good college arms. But I feel like we've gone that way in the last few drafts with our first picks. And it's had mixed results. I'm not going to completely count out Skeens yet, but that's not looking like the best pick at this point because he's playing in AAA. Even if he shouldn't be in AAA, but I just got really pissed off at him. Hit me with some of this Paul Wilson in the second round, though. Man, this looks like Paul Skeens. Not his potential, but his current. The current Paul Skeens that we have, which is not really a good arm, so maybe I shouldn't go that way. We probably won't get any of these guys this round. I guess we could look at high school guys. I'm not necessarily opposed to them. If there's anyone that really sticks out, sort by high schoolers. Definitely not taking a high school first baseman. That's just an awful idea. High school arm, not really something I'm looking at. This guy's fun. Fun player. I love these guys with good speed, good contact, and avoid Ks. I don't necessarily draft them all the time, but they're fun to watch develop, and if they do work out, they're like complete studs. Chris Pacheco. Awesome personality. The pitch mix is concerning, though. Not really an out pitch there, minus the splitter. Gabe Wells is interesting as well. Ooh, I love a good knuckleballer. Kikane Tari, I think is his name in the Nashville save. I still got to continue playing that to see if he works out. He's fragile, though. I don't know. Wow, this is a fun pitcher. I keep saying fun, but I mean, this is a good slider, good forkball, sinker, splitter. Great personality. I mean, I said I wasn't looking at high school arms, but man, this guy checks every box. Good control and stamina. I seriously think this guy could work out. Another really nice contact speed. Good defense. Good work ethic. Okay, so I actually am starting to grow on these high school guys. I know their bust potential is way higher. I think at the end of the day, though, I'm probably going to go with the safe pick. And I'll probably go with Connor Griffin here. I wonder, because in real life, he's a shortstop prospect, technically. Wonder if he has any infield ability. He has a little bit. I also took him in the Rockies save. That's kind of turning me off to this idea. He doesn't have great speed. Man, this is tough. Okay, I'm going to hop off camera. Now that we've kind of looked at all the prospects, sift through these guys, see which ones are legit contenders to take with this pick. And I don't think I don't have a comp pick or anything. Yeah, no comp picks. So our next pick is 28 next round. So we got to get this one right. So we'll be back in a second with the pick. All right, so I think I made the decision. I don't feel great about it, and I think Connor Griffin might be the smartest pick, but I've already had him in a save, and I kind of want to mix it up. So I think this Raheem Chatty Lucky, ground baller with really good speed, good sack bunt for hit if you care about that stuff, which I guess bunt for hit's cool. Can also play a little bit of outfield, can play some third base, a really good third base, which is a valuable position defensively. He's durable, he's well developed. If this home run power and eye kicks in, he could be like a total stud. And, I thought about him. I thought about Shimolke Becker, who, if he's available second round, I'm definitely going to take, because he's probably the second guy on my board, and that's assuming Griffin's gone. But I think I'm going to take Lucky here. Hopefully I do get lucky on this pick and he works out, but let's go for it. Second round. And it looks like that pitcher went, but Connor Griffin's still here. Jesus. Okay, well, he's probably going to go, but I want to see where that pitcher went. We had 20... What do we have? We had 34. Okay, so... I feel like it always works out. Oh, okay. He went pretty early in the second round, so we weren't really necessarily close. But okay. Anyway, I think Connor Griffin's the pick then. I would have taken him first round, and he drops to the end of the second. I like a lot of the high school guys too, but the floor is just too high, and the upside is big. So I'm going to take Griffin. Then we lost our third round pick for signing Nola, I believe. So this is the fourth round here. But I think we nailed those first two picks. I really don't. A lot of times I'll think we're going to, they're complete coin tosses, but I think those guys are pretty good bets to make the majors within the next few years. Of course, no prospect is a sure thing, though, so you never know. Martin's a nice arm, or a nice bat. Speaking of bat, Mike Bat's not bad. I love these high floor middle infielders, but I don't think we could do that again. We've done that too much. And they typically turn into good players, but I don't know. Ooh, Chad Glasser. Give me that 75 range. Ooh. Ground ball hitter, good speed, good range, durable. I mean, he can't hit for anything. But, like, if he develops into this bat with that gap power, who knows? He could really work out. So, Chad Glasser, is it Glasser? Glacier. Yeah, that's probably going to be the pick. Unless someone... This guy is a good floor. But I'd rather go for some upside in this one. Austin Nye, 21 years old. Really good personality. Couple good pitches. I'll see if he's available next round. Just to fill out the system with some good arms. Mari Woodley's interesting. Pat Young. Ooh. Low intelligence concerns me a bit. Chris Armstrong's got a good glove, but nothing really else. Yeah, I think, shoot, I already forgot what his name is. This guy is not... He doesn't really have an out pitch. Humberto Paines. I like the upside. This guy's pretty good, too. He's 22, though. Not really developed. Really struggled in whatever this league is. MLB Draft League. So I'm not sure about that. Who the heck was the guy I was looking at? I already forgot. Yeah, he had a funny name. God, I'm sure I went by him. Let's go to outfielders. Make this a little bit easier. Oh my God. Glacier, this is the guy. Yeah, good work ethic. Really good outfield defense. Good speed. Let's go for it. So we take him with our 4th rounder, and then I'll do the rest of the draft off camera, just because it'll take a while, and don't want to make this video too long, so we'll be back. All right, so we'll get to the end of the draft in just a second, but wanted to check in on All-Stars. Chase Dolander, of course, representing Texas Rangers yet again. That's fun. Good for them. That I just can't even look at that. Honestly, not too many surprising faces. I guess Christian Betancourt. It's an interesting face to see in the All-Star game here in 2027 at age 35. Yeah, nothing else too crazy there. How about Oscar Colas following up his MVP season? He's been pretty good, so White Sox got a good one there. And then for us, Luis Castillo makes it as our starter. I couldn't imagine. Yeah, James Wood in left field, of course, and then that's about it. Not too surprising that we only have 2 All-Stars. We really haven't been good, and those guys have kind of been carrying our team. So there you go. There's All-Stars, and let's jump into the draft. And how we did with that. I kind of like this draft. You know, the first 2 picks were really home runs, I think. Raheem Lucky in the first round. Connor Griffin, a complete steal in the second. So I love those 2 picks. 4th round, we took Chad Glazer. Then Humberto Paes, who I looked at in the 2nd round. He's a ground ball hitter with no speed, which concerns me, but the tools are definitely there. He's only 17. A lot of room to either develop or bust. Then we took Rodolfo Campos. He was crushing in the whatever this is, the draft league. As a 21-year-old, even if his ratings don't look great, I think performing in that league, like, amazingly, does mean something. So we took him in the 5th round. We took, that's the same guy. Took this guy Spain, an outfielder, in the 7th round. Um, Again, one of these like low developed 21-year-olds. They kind of concern me, but we'll see what happens with them. They took Joe Whitney. I just wanted to get an arm in there in the first 10 rounds, so he took him in the 8th. Donde Fitzgerald, same story, took him in the 9th round. This guy dropped to the 10th round. Good work ethic, good upside with the bat. Not a horrible defensive catcher. Doesn't really have a home outside of that, so I gotta hope the bat develops. Took this guy, relief pitcher prospect. Who knows? And then pretty much for the rest of the draft, I just took from like the 14th round on. I took guys with high work ethic. Joey Berg's actually interesting with some tools. Mike Salisbury was a interesting arm, and then these guys were all just high work ethic, high intelligence to the end of the draft, high schoolers. So for the most part, there's maybe a college guy mixed in. I think the last couple of picks were dart throws at high schoolers. This guy was a college guy. Bunch of pitches. Who knows? Crazier things have happened than have something like that develop. So that's where we are. We're going to jump into the trade deadline in a second. But quickly, let's kind of recap where our needs are. There's a massive hole at second base right now. We're still going to have to wait a year. Maybe Cooper Pratt comes up at the end of the year, but we need someone until that point. We also have to wait for Namala, who is still a ways away, only in high A. So we definitely need a second baseman since Stanley Tucker has just been horrible. And looking out on the trade market, I actually haven't really explored this at all, but you got Tommy Edman out here. He's not having a good year. I don't even think it's an upgrade. Miles Straw's apparently a second baseman. Okay. Ryan McMahon's always interesting. Got a pretty good glove over there. Luis Guillorme is almost exclusively glove. Ozzy Albies, not a horrible player, though not having a good year. Yeah, there's not too much for second baseman, so we might have to go off script and look for some trades outside of the trade block. He signed for the minimum. It's interesting. He always costs so much to get. Yeah, I'm not giving up any of these guys for him. Sorry. How's Skeen's been doing? He's been pretty good. Why the heck is he throwing so many pitches down there? Did I not? Yeah, my pitch limits are right. I don't know why I threw 121 pitches, but anyway, we're going to move closer to the deadline, see if there's any moves to make. We'll come back. All right, so I was just looking around. Okay, before I get into this trade, I was looking around at the worst teams in the league, and the Red Sox were one of them. And I always have my eye on Marcelo Mayer because he's a great defender, a great bat in the save, and the Red Sox are kind of out of it. He's got a couple years of control left. Actually, let me confirm how many years that is. So let's see. Is he making the minimum right now? Good God. Okay, here he is. He has 3 years of control after this. He's only 24. And, he's one of those generational type of players. A really good shortstop. Where does that leave us with Correa? A move to third base could be an option for him. I don't really want to trade him because I still think he's a valuable player, but to get Marcelo Mayer is like a dream I always have in this game, and I'm never able to pull the trigger because he's always so valuable, and the Red Sox are usually pretty good. But this is one of those once in a lifetime deals. So the package isn't exactly cheap. The biggest piece going back is Juan Barajas, who's a 19-year-old, freshly 19, playing down in rookie ball. He's pretty decently developed at this point. He's not having a horrible year down there, so he could turn out to be a really good player. He has 80 potential. But the key is I'm not giving up the real outfielders that I really love down here, which is Aldana, who is probably even a better prospect, and Valenzuela, who I also love. So I'm not giving up either of those guys. It's Barajas, so of course that takes away one dart throw with these young guys because these guys are all easily bustable. We still have Will Daniel Jennings down here. So we have a bunch of corner outfield types, and Barajas is the guy that they wanted. He's a guy that I don't really value that much compared to those other guys. So we're giving up him, Luis Rizzo, who's a pretty decent prospect, but he was a guy they really liked. So I'm going to throw him in as well, and then Juan Cardozo, who they really liked. He was a scout and discovery a couple years back. Isn't really playing in rookie ball right now, so he's kind of an expendable piece. But the big piece is Barajas and Rizzo. And I mean, this is a no-brainer, just from a talent standpoint. And maybe I'm fleecing them on this, but I do get it from their point of view. They're trying to sell high and get a really good dart throw, who's having a good season in rookie ball as a 19-year-old. My only hesitations are, where the heck do we play? I mean, you figure it out, I guess, with a player like this, but this probably pushes Correa over to third, Antunia to first, White DHs, and Hussey's gone. I like him, but I just don't really see... I don't know. He has a lot of pop, and that's about it, basically. So I think Hussey would be on the move in a deal like this. And, it kind of improves our defense. But I think I'm going to pull the trigger on this trade. Maybe not the most realistic trade ever, but it's really fun for this save, and I think Marcelo Mayer in a Nationals uniform would be sick. He is in for a big raise. He's going to be making a lot of money, but we'll probably try to lock up an extension with him. He's been durable throughout the save. At least I think. He only played 90 games that year. I'm not sure if he was in the minors or something. What was that injury? Shoulder, sprained ankle, hamstring strain, fractured thumb. So nothing like, no crazy injuries at this point. Just a couple ones that have kept him out, but yeah, what a fun trade this is. And I mean, there's really no risk. There's a chance that Barajas works out and he's a total stud, but if we're getting Mayer back, I'm not really concerned. So I'm going to pull the trigger on this. Let's do it. Marcelo Mayer, a Washington National. And that sets up the trade for Hussey. And he does have a lot of value, so I think we should be able to get a good return. I'm going to do this live, at least, pending anything is, bad trade offers or something, but let's see. So what are our other needs? So this puts us with Hussey's out. That pushes Correa to third. I need to demote someone. I'm going to actually demote Hussey for now. So we'll throw Mayer in at short. Man, what a fun lineup. Correa goes over to third. He'll learn it pretty quick, I'm guessing, but he'll be such a stud over there. And we still don't really have a second baseman. That didn't solve that issue completely. I guess I could move Correa to second, but that's kind of a waste of his arm. House is fine out and right. He's learning it. He's played 11 games, hasn't been horrible. So we still have the hole at second base after this. I'm not as concerned about it anymore since we have Mayer here, but that is still a hole. So maybe look to flip Hussey for a second baseman. So going to look at the trades, see what I can come up with, and we'll be back. Okay, so after looking over the team after that trade, I kind of forgot Luis Garcia was on a rehab assignment, so he provides a little bit of juice, and I think this is what we're going to roll with. We'll put Antunia at second, even though he's definitely not ideal over there, but I think the rest of the infield defense can pick up the slack. Brady House will move over to first, where he can be a total stud. And this defense, the defense looks really good outside of Antunia. The outfield, the only thing I could think of is a platoon partner for Trent Grisham, only because he has not hit lefties well. He's hit righties just fine. But looking out there, it's like, Manny Margot, is he even an upgrade over... I don't know. I guess he has good defense. But he has a pending injury. So we have to wait on that. Miles Straw's a righty, but again, is he even a better hitter? I don't know. I don't think so. Go out to the other center field options. Luis Robert, I guess, hypothetically is a better player, but is his range good enough to cover center field? maybe he does make sense. Even if the defense is going to suffer with him out, yeah, they want a lot for him. Never mind. Kyle Isbell's a lefty. Stuart Fairchild's a guy I almost signed in the offseason. He's not really an upgrade either, though. So, yeah, like, Ramon Laureano can't play center. Teoscar definitely can't play center. Tommy Edman, I guess, hypothetically could. Although his defense in the outfield is not good. Never mind. Yeah, so I think we're going to go up to the deadline. See if there's any other moves to make, and then this is kind of what we're going to roll with, I think. I think this lineup is definitely championship caliber now that we slotted Mayer in there. The pitching staff, I feel good about. Maybe a bullpen upgrade. I don't know. I still have faith that Duvall can bounce back, but he really hasn't shown any signs. So Kate Cavalli is also a trade candidate. So maybe I'll look around as we move toward the deadline. We'll update with any moves. All right, this is an incredibly risky trade, but I think it's worth it. So Gavin Hollowell was a guy. He started out in Colorado and was just a reliever, and then he went to San Diego and emerged as like this all-world starter the last few seasons, having a great year. The only issue is his stamina is 40, but he has good enough control to make up for it and give you 5-6 innings a start. He's getting increasingly expensive. He's going to double his salary next season, according to this estimate. So it's something to monitor, but honestly, I think the package makes sense for them. They are an expensive team, obviously. They're a good team, which makes this feel a little bit weird. Like they're in second place behind the Dodgers, ahead of us in the standings. And maybe now that I'm thinking about it, it doesn't feel realistic at all to do this. But they are playing from a position of strength. As their starting rotation is really good. They have an expensive rotation here. Snell's making a lot of money. Musgrove is making a lot of money. Then they have this really expensive lineup as well. But they have money to spend. They're third in budget. So I don't even know if this makes sense. I vetoed 2 trades with them for Gavin Hollowell, and I've done once already. This might be the second. I already did the Mayer thing. I guess that made a lot more sense than this. I don't know. He's just too good of a pitcher for them, and they're not in money trouble. I mean, they don't have much budget space this year, but in the future they do. Let me check their books. So Musgrove is off the books. And like this half of Grisham's salary is off the books too. Or 3/4, whatever that is. Kopech's off the roster. Hauku, who they ate some of the salary on that. So I mean, they open up $25 million next year, but this team is so expensive, like stupid expensive. I'm just trying to think of this. Why the heck did they sign Luis Campusano to an extension? Oh my god. So expensive. Oh, this lineup is like disgusting. So this makes a ton of sense for us, obviously. We're getting rid of 2 kind of spare parts. Kate Cavalli, who is valuable. Like, he has another year of control, I believe. Yeah, he has 1 year left after this. So they get him for a year and a half. And then Duvall's a free agent, but he's a good reliever, in theory. Not for us, but potentially could be. I don't really think this makes any sense. I'm not sure why they want to do this trade, but I'm going to actually veto this. But I wanted to bring it up anyway that, this was an offer. But just to keep things realistic and I don't know. And then, like, our books aren't exactly clear for the future. I think Correa's probably on his way out at some point. This team's just going to get too expensive moving forward. Yeah, like, this 2030 season's looking pretty crazy with the salaries that we have. Obviously, this isn't all guaranteed, but yeah, James Wood is going to be in for a big raise pretty soon. I would like to lock him up. And Hollowell kind of blocks us from doing that. And he's 3 years of control. This doesn't make any sense for the Padres, so I'm actually not going to do this trade. We'll come back with maybe something little more realistic and something that we'll actually do. All right, so I think I found a trade that makes a little bit more sense. It's the same package, Cavalli and Doval, and Alex Ramirez, who was once a rising star in the league. I guess he never really had a good season, but he was like a pretty well-touted prospect. Like, has some good ratings, has some good outfield range, and is crushing it in AAA. But they just don't want to play him in the majors, so I can see them kind of being done with him. He's due for a nice little raise, $5.5 million for next season. So I get this on their side. They'll get Cavalli for a year and a half. They'll get Doval. So yeah, I think this is a lot more realistic of a trade than the Hollowell one. They are a win now team, but they're getting win now pieces back for kind of a spare part / like failed prospect, I guess you can call him. And we're gonna take a risk on him. He's a little fragile. I wonder. I was gonna check how many years of control he had left. So he's making. Wow, they have so many guys making like $3 million. So he's right here. He has 3 years after this. So we're getting a controllable center fielder / like outfield type. I don't know if he's a long-term piece. He'll have to prove that, but at least for now, he gives us a little bit of juice and a police. Why the heck I said that? A platoon partner for Trent Grisham out in center field, and that's able to push Hobson back to the minors where he probably should be. And it gives us a true backup center fielder. So. Kate Cavalli was one of the OGs on this team. Has shown flashes, but really has never put it together. He's never even had like an above league average season as a starter, and he's kind of a reliever at this point for me. Maybe they can work some of their magic, and Doval just hasn't been any good. So we're gonna pull the trigger on this. Let's do it. We'll bring in Ramirez, and we've kind of rebuilt this offense overnight in a way. And I'm not sure if Ramirez is going to play every day or if he's going to be, or if we're still going to run out Grisham. He's had a nice little run here, so I think we'll still give Grisham time against righties. Mix in Ramirez every third game, maybe. And then against lefties, we'll start Ramirez. Push Grisham to a backup role, where he probably should be, quite frankly. But, yeah, I mean, this lineup looks pretty freaking good. These guys just got to play up to their abilities now. We've given this team pretty much all we can. We'll have to find some relievers now. I think it's probably about time to call Skeens back up. See what he can do. So we'll add Skeens back in. He'll come out of the bullpen probably for the rest of the year. See if we could rebuild some value, and then probably give Belgrave a shot. Oh, never mind. We're full. We have to send down Hobson, and then. Who else do we have on our 40? We have Cornelio. I still like him. I don't think I'm going to trade Hussey, by the way. His value just isn't really high enough to justify doing anything. Wouldn't mind call up Lara, but he's kind of lost a little prospect luster. Jorge Vera just has no control. All right, let's call up Jacob Lopez. Give him another shot. Okay, so we'll go up to the All-Star break with this team, come back, and update if there's any injuries or anything. But I think that's probably all the moves we'll make at this point. So we'll be back. So speaking of failed prospects, Robert Hassel has just kind of made his way out of our plans. He just isn't performing at all, and his ratings have dropped. So he's probably done. He's 25 years old, but maybe there's a chance for a reclamation project. Then Edwin Uceda, who was a minor league free agent signing this year, just has not pitched well for us, but in AAA. But the Braves probably think they can do something with it. We need to pick up another arm because our rotation, I do not trust it. So I'm going to throw a dart at Davis Martin, a 30-year-old who's having kind of a career year, but has been decent in the majors the past few seasons. In for a big raise this offseason, so who knows what we do at that point, but a guy who can at least fill in a spot in our rotation because Antelic I trust enough, but Susanna struggled in the last few games, and I just think we need another arm here. So we're going to pick up him. We'll pick up this guy. I'm not even going to try to say that name, but we're going to get this reliever. He's got one option here. I also realize, God, he's making so much money. See if they'll eat some of that, because... Alright, they'll eat 85. That's fine. Yeah, we'll pick up this guy. He's got one option. This is the last option year. And this guy, Robert Colina. Good minor league depth. Could make a start if we need him to. For a couple of spare parts. So, I'm not sure where the Braves are doing this. And they are an in-division rival that we're fighting against for a playoff spot. So, it's not entirely realistic, but they are getting a good reliever and a reclamation project in the outfield. So, we're going to swing that one. I blocked myself on the Hollowell trade, so I'll give myself this one. And we'll move forward. Davis Martin needs a spot on the roster. Probably send down Jacob Lopez again. So, going to see how Intalik pitches here. That'll kind of decide if he's in the rotation moving forward or not. I know one game shouldn't really judge it, but he hasn't really been good. We win 8-3, so that's good. Also, we're not even like close to the playoffs, so we're going all in, and we might not even make it in. So, the big game for the offense. Home runs, 2 home runs by James Wood, 1 by Tommy White, triple by Marcelo Mayer, who really hasn't done too much since coming over. He's striking out at a pretty crazy clip. Doesn't have any home runs yet in 16 games, so we're going to need a little bit more from him. Yeah, I really hope the offense picks it up because we're going to need it. Skeens has been pretty good since calling him back up. Throwing 6 1/3 and only giving up 1 run, so there's still hope for him. Intalik wasn't horrible, so I think he might have saved himself a spot in the rotation, but Davis Martin is ready when we need him, so that'll wrap up this episode. Hopefully next time we'll be back with the playoffs and September chase unless we fall out of it. But I think this is about as good as we can do. We give up a lot of prospect capital, but we also gave some spare parts and flipped them for good players. So hopefully, I don't know why Correa is batting third. That was a drop him actually pretty deep. Drop him pretty deep into the order. He just has not been that player this year. Yeah, so that'll wrap up the episode. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.